due to the fact that all the leaders of the world have met together, and that means he's going to have to adjust his Avodas Hashem in a way that will have a relation to these huge events which are occurring. So everybody's sort of trying to work out what is the Rebbe talking about. So he does us the great service of telling exactly what he's referring to. Because many times the Rebbe would talk about things of certain political or other significance, and he wouldn't say exactly what he's referring to. Over here, he says clearly, Ha'ma'ura olav maduba, he said the event about what I'm talking, he said, Ve'idas Roshi Hamadinas, he said that is the coming together and the Congress of leaders of nations. In other words, that he say prime ministers or presidents of Medinas. At the beginning of this meeting of all the leaders of all the great countries was exactly on this Erev Shabbos where the Rebbe is speaking. The Rebbe is speaking now on Shabbos, so this great meeting occurred on Erev Shabbos. Pashut Mishpatim, which is exactly where we are now. And it was also, then it was called Law, Mishpat, which he's going to talk about. He said, and the continuation of that meeting is going on now while we're farbring. The Rebbe says in the Sina, while we're sitting here, and we're sitting in the house of my father-in-law, the Dadadamas, the British Rebbe, and we are farbringing. At the same time, this meeting is continuing. So he said, but Huflat, and it's already been announced, already on Friday, to what are they working towards, what is the main thing that they're working for. So he says, in this meeting, it's already been decided. Al Chidush Godel, he says it's been decided on a tremendous new idea, revolutionary to the whole concept of international relation. Sounds very impressive. So he said, what is that? Bitul matzav ha'milchamo fein ha'medinas. Cancelling out of the whole concept of war between countries. In other words, at that time, all these big knobs that met inside the UN building, they gave out a further no more war. From now on, we're only going to work for peace. No war. Because the whole time, during communist Russia in particular, there was always this tension between the so-called left world and the right world, and the West and the East and the whole thing. So they said, from now on, all that is finished. It's all batul. And Tzimtzum Klei HaNeshek, and the cutting back of the manufacture of war weapons. Isn't it? Yeah. The Tzimtzum of Klei HaNeshek. The Nitzul, Oishom Mashavim, and the using of those sources of money that have always been given and always been used in the different economies for making war, pituach v'shikshuk al-medina, to bring to a making and a promoting of a progress and a shikshuk. Shikshuk means like flowering out of any given main port. Yeah? So many shikshuk in the whole makeup of the different Medinas. So the Rebbe said, what's going to follow from all that? If nobody's producing anymore, giving all their money into producing huge weapons, but that money is being used for other things, then what will that bring to? That will promote the concept of shalom and achdus. Then people will be able to have the rest of mind in order to going to interrelate one with the other, not how they're going to fight one the other and how they're going to threaten one the other, but how they're going to be united. And therefore the Rebbe said, Shitu Pa'ula ve'ezra hadodiyas, a yin of cooperation and mutual assistance, bein hamadinas latevus anushas kula, for the good of the whole human race. I said, nobody's particularly falling off his chair, but you have to realize that this was the whole in of the Rebbe. The Rebbe wasn't just a leader of a certain Hasidic movement. The Rebbe cared about the whole of humanity. And he was worried and he was concerned, and that was the whole in him. Of the Rebbe's leadership was for the whole Enushiyas Kula. The Rebbe sees in this meeting, where they did at that time, they said from now on, we're concerned about what's good for mankind, not what's good for a certain clash and war that we have with Pliny. We don't get on with Pliny, we don't like the way they do things, or who knows what. But from now on, only what is the benefit and what can be used for the good of mankind. I just want to tell you one little story. I know you say I told many stories and we never learned anything, but there's a famous story that I think it was the what do you call it, the assistant mayor of New York. Might even been the mayor himself, but I think it was the assistant mayor, had once a yechidus with the Rebbe. It was in the latter years, it was in the Mems, after Mem Hay, between Mem Hay and
Koch.
Ash?
Koch.
Mayor Koch or Koch or Lindsay. Sometimes Koch.
Anyway, he had a meeting with the Rebbe.
Yeah, it's
with the
Koch.
Rebbe. Yeah. So somebody had told him that all these big Haredi Orthodox leaders amongst the Jews, they're all after this, they're all looking for money, because they've all got big, Mosdot and things like that. They always need money to run. So, take it easy with this Lubavitcher Rebbe, because he will probably at some point try and hit you for money.
It was a vice mayor. It wasn't the mayor.
That's what they told him before he came.
No, he said.
So he comes in, he had a long talk with the Rebbe about all sorts of different things.
Right.
And
History.
he sort of hinted to the Rebbe that it was more or less time for him to go. So the Rebbe nodded very courteously, and then the Rebbe said, but just before you leave, I have one point I'd like to bring up with you. So his mind started clicking to the Lashon Hara that he'd heard, and so he said, well, here's the pitch line. So the Rebbe said, so he said, just what can I help the Rebbe? So the Rabbi said, that not far on the way to Williamsburg, on the right-hand side there's a huge area called Chinatown. He said, no doubt you're very familiar with it. And he said, oh yes I am. Yeah. He said, Chinatown's a big area. So the Rebbe said, it's a very big area, but it's not big enough. And he said, if you've ever visited Chinatown, whoever knows when the Rebbe visited Chinatown? So the Rebbe said, if you ever visited Chinatown, then you've got thousands of shops squeezed into what is a inhuman space. And they are just sitting on top of one another, and it's just not able to carry on normal business in such a situation. And these people are helpful citizens. They earn their money through doing good business with people, and they're honest, and they pay their taxes, and they do everything they're supposed to do. And they want to make a bit of money, they want to make business, and they sell good things. And the Rebbe said, why should they be left in such a terrible situation? He said, could you please give over? Now, these guys are Chinese. The Lubavitcher Rebbe is concerned about the Chinese. So would you please give over to the mayor, in my name, that I strongly recommend that everything be done to broaden Chinatown. said, yeah, his eyes told out on structure, and he just couldn't believe it. So when he gets out of the Yechida, he said, of course, I will relay this immediately to the mayor, you know. And when he gets out of the Yechida, some guys come over and they said, no, you know, how was it? You know, what did you talk about? What was it like being with the Lubavitcher Rebbe? He said, this man is absolutely, I've never experienced anything like it. You know? He was just going out of his cage, and he was just so touched to the depths of his heart that the Rebbe was concerned not with the money for his mother. The Rebbe was concerned with the Chinese. And he said, how can you leave them in such a situation? Yeah. Wow. So here we got that the Rebbe is concerned with the Tevis Ainoish's Koila. This is just so the Rebbe. He's concerned with the whole world, and this is a meeting which affected the whole world. Me'acha, he said, since like we already said, that this is an event of tremendous importance. Yeah, Areisha limud mimenu ubinin achi chashuv v'avedas b'nei Yisrael. So the Rebbe said, since this is such a tremendous inyan, then the limud from it is also something very significant and great in the whole avodah of the Jewish people. What is that? Lahovi liyamayso Mashiach. Oh, the whole ultimate aim of the Jewish people is Lahovi liyamayso Mashiach. You have to bring Mashiach b'poyo. So the Rebbe said that is one of the centers of the whole requirement that Hashem has in our time and age from the Jewish people. So the Rebbe says, one of the Yehudia Geula, and this is amazing. You should realize, this, in my opinion, this is mamish bull. I don't think it occurs in Tanakh. I'm not a boki in all the psukim of the Tanakh, but you've got two Nevi'im at very different times. Yeshayahu Hanavi, he was from the Nevi'im HaRishonim, and then you got Micha Hanavi, that he's much later, and he's from the time of the 12 latter prophets. And they say, when I get to this particular Nevuah that everybody's going to mention now, they say exactly the same thing. It's almost exactly the same lashon. It's very unusual. Yeshayahu Hanavi says it on, then later, generated years later, how he called Micha Hanavi says the same thing, almost the same lashon, and this is one of them. And what is that? V'kitatu charvoisom le'itim. Yeah, they're going to beat out their swords to plowshares. You guys know about it. Yeah. This is one of the words that people remember. Yeah, 8 in Lashon Kodesh, Aleph Tov, is a like a plowing blade. You know, a blade will plow the ground. And they're going to make their spears into things using that they used to what's the word when you trim a tree in order to help it to grow. Pruning. To pruning rods and things like that. They're going to take all their weapons and change them into things that will produce good results for humanity in the simple sense. So there was the Rebbe said that's written clearly in the Nevuah of Yeshaya Novi and of Micha Novi. And over there, I'll soon tell him, it's written, Lo yiso goy el goy chereb. Yeah, there will no longer one nation lift up a sword against another nation. Lo yilandu oid melchoma. Now those two lashonas, kisatu, lo yiso goy el goy, occur twice, both in Yeshaya Novi and in Micha Novi. And then afterwards, it's written, Vashofat, and he will judge. Nobody knows exactly who's this Vashofat referring to. Shofat goyim rabbiim v'yochiach li'umim yedaylim. and also he will, reprobate great nations and everything. And then, as a result of that, then they will come to this activity. So the Radak over there, he says, who is this Shofet? Who's going to do the judging? So some people say it's referring to Hashem. And the Radak says it's referring to Melech HaMashiach. And he said, Melech HaMashiach is going to judge all the people. How's he going to do that?
What?
Computer.
No.
Computer.
Wait, computer.
What do you need computers for? Melech HaMashiach is going to talk to all the nations. How's he going to do that? And he's going to judge them. And he's going to reprobate them. And he's going to tell them, up all these Narishkeiten and up all these terrible things you're doing in the Ganze.
Now,
how is that going to happen? He's going to look into a beautiful computer and he's going to talk to millions of people. That's what the Radak says, that Melech HaMashiach is going to do all that. So the Rebbe says that's exactly what happened with this meeting. All these guys came together and they said no more bombs and wars and no more atom bombs, and we're going to limit all that and we're going to use the money for good things, for things of working the ground and producing better foods and medical equipment, etc., etc., etc. So the Rebbe said that's exactly what's written in Yeshaya, and exactly what's written in the Radak. Yeah, there was Shofet, Goyim, Rabbim, but that's referring to Melech HaMashiach. So the Rebbe says the most amazing thing. That is a sign that Melech HaMashiach has already begun his work. That even though it still looks as if, the world is, still in a bit of a mess and there's confusion here and there. He said, however, these great events of great leaders of nations coming together and agreeing in principle on a thing like that is already the beginning of the kiyum that you didn't have waited for so long, the kiyum of the voice of Yeshaya Novi. And it's an amazing thing. I was traveling in a taxi the other day with an intelligent driver, and he said to me, I said something about, we see that certain things that the Nevi'im said are beginning to come about. He said, Ein dibru kvar lifnei alfei shanim. He said, Mechakim. I said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, 1000 shana, one day, Yom Echad. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, Yeshaya Novi diber, מתי שהקדוש ברוך הוא יעשה את זה, זה העניין שלו. אבל העם היהודי, הם יודעים שזה יהיה. זה רק שאלה של הזמן המתאים אצל הקדוש ברוך הוא.
translation.
And he said there's going to be a time, that's what the Rebbe points out much later, that you're going to have to interfere. You're going to have to, when I say interfere, you're going to have to become active, and you're going to have to demand it. You're going to have to say, we want these in Yonim now, and that will clinch the final, as it were, swing of the deal. Then they're going to start happening. He said, it's already begun happening, and it's, I'm telling you, if you read the Lashon of the Sikha inside, it seems almost clear that the Rebbe is saying that who's the Melech HaMashiach, that he's already starting to get the results of his work. Pretty clear. He keeps saying, it's my father-in-law. What do you mean your father-in-law? What's it does? And he keeps saying that Melech HaMashiach is already working within the framework of world event. That's what he said. מפעולו של מלך המשיח, נוסי הדוהר. And so he says, who is Melech HaMashiach? How are you supposed to know? He said, whoever is the emes of Nasi, that's Mashiach HaDoher. And he keeps saying, the emes of Nasi is my father. But right at the end, I can show you, right at the end, there's an amazing thing that he says, the word miyad is a Rosh Hashanah, miyad. And then he said, it's, Baal Shem Tov and the Magid, different ones. And then all of a sudden he said, of yoter b'kirva eleinu, closer to us, he said, miyad is Menachem, Yosef Yitzchak, and Dober. Dober is the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe says Menachem. Yeah.
Miyad Mamish.
Everybody's eyes jumped out on us talks, because the Rebbe never sort of openly referred to himself. But he writes there clearly, Miyad is Rosh Hashanah, Menachem, Yosef Yitzchak, Dober.
Mamish? Miyad Mamish.
Oh, Miyad Mamish. Ein ze inyan she'ikre me'atzmei b'geula. Oh, the Rebbe said this is not something that's just going to hocus pocus occur, it'll just happen. All of a sudden the goyim will all start, working for the goodness of humanity. Ela hu chelik mip'uloiso shel Moshiach atzmo. It's part of the effort of Moshiach himself. He said, this is part of the work of Moshiach. Yekidivri HaMaforshim, she'me'achav HaMoshiach yishamesh keshoifei beinu amim. He's going to be like a judge amongst all the people, and that's what's written over there in Yeshaya and in Micha. V'shofar bein hagoyim v'hichiach la'amim rabim, and he will reprobate many peoples. Mamela yivatzeh matzav shel sholem. It'll be an end of peace. Amongst the great nations, or big voice of, so there won't be any need anymore, since people are all at peace one with the other, and they're in active one with the other, there's no need for klei milchama. Shall beetle v'tzimtzum klei hanesher. He said this decision that they reached in this meeting on Friday, that's the day before the Rebbe is talking it. He said that itself, what it deals with the cancelling out and the tzimtzum of weapons, he said, Hi kfa as cholas kiyum yiyoteh. The Rebbe said clearly in the Sikha, he writes there, I looked it up, I looked through the whole piece with all the Maramikumas and everything, and the Rebbe says clearly that this is the beginning of the keeping of all the promises in that area of Yeshaya Noah. Yeah, Mamish. The Rebbe said these are the beginning of the carrying out of these years. He said, Kvar Ka'is, Mamish at this moment, Matchil Lehis Mamish. It's becoming a reality of the Kitatu Charvaisom Lo'itim, that they will beat their swords into plows or plowshares. This is because in Shofat Goyim Rebim refers to Moshiach. We have to find some very, very clear and special connection bein prati hamu'ura, amongst all the details of this great event which has occurred just the day before. And the Rebbe said, for example, what sort of pratim? He said, hamokim v'hazman uchulu. He said the place where it occurred and the time that it's occurred. And he said these are only just amongst the details which will be tremendously revealing. He said, Levein Moshiach Atzmai, Kalema. He said, amongst the inyanim which affect Moshiach Atzmai, Kalema, Milvad HaKesher HaBasisi L'Geula B'Klalusa, apart from the fact that this matter has got a connection, a very base connection to Geula B'Klalusa, Shanika Be'etzem Ha'uda Shaklota Zu Nasis Ko'es, that it's become recognizable to everybody that this, the fact that this decision has been taken Davki now, Bezman HaKorah B'Yoter L'Geula. So here the Rebbe brings in a piece which I just need to explain a little. The Rebbe, on many occasions, prior to the Sikha, the Rebbe said, there's an expression in Yiddish, that the Rebbe said that the time where we live is the Hechste Zeit for the Geula. And in Yiddish, the Hechste Zeit means lo rak hazman hagavoa biyoter, but it means like the most likely and what you might call the most appropriate leading time that Mashiach will come. That's a Hechste. So the Rebbe supports that with all sorts of statements from the Gemara and from our sages and from Medrash Tanchuma and all sorts, that we see that where we're holding now, this is like the time that is becoming kept, all the things that have ever been said about what's going to be at the time of Mashiach. So therefore the Rebbe said that's an indication that Beklal, we're living in a very close and worthy and likely time for the coming of the Geula. Harei, says the Rebbe Davki, at this particular moment, he said, Nika kan gama uvda she'etzem achloto zu hi mipulosei shel Mashiach. So the Rebbe said, apart from this being clear that the time in general where it occurs is recognizable, that's got to do with the Geula, because Beklal we're in the time of the Geula, the Rebbe said furthermore, it's clear that this is from the activities of Mashiach. Not only that it's a fitting time, but this is from the actual activities of Mashiach himself. This is a big time. This is really amazing. So the Rebbe says, "U'boli de bitui ratius." He said it comes into its expression. First of all, b'mokim shabo nasusa haklot. He said this in the place where this great decision on the part of these leaders and presidents of the countries have met. He said, b'Medina u'b'ir bo nimtu beis Rabbeinu shebabovel. So the Rebbe says that why did they all meet and all get drawn to New York? He said, not that it just so happens that in New York that's where there's 770. And so they also met in New York. That's interesting. The Rebbe said, why did they meet in New York? Because New York is the place of 770. Not that they happened to meet, and also, but 770 was what caused them to come. And the Rebbe calls it clearly over there 770 in the Sikha. He calls it Beis Rabbeinu Asher B'Bovel, and he says, Hanikra B'fi Kulam, as well the Beis Chayenu. The Rebbe calls it Beis Chayenu. Yeah. He says, Hanikra B'fi Kulam Beis Chayenu. In other words, because 770 happens to be in that area, that's why they made this, that it happened, that all these guys came together, including the president himself. He had to leave his White House, and he had to come to New York. Yeah, why? Because the Friedrich Rebbe lived in there. יש שם לסידורנו, שבוכה בוי בתור המוקם הקבוע, ממנו יוצא כל הפעולה. The Binyone Afotos Amayone. He said, this is the place, and the Rebbe writes there that amazing statement. The Rebbe said that was up until Tovshin Yud, and then the Rebbe said, and after Tovshin Yud, Hemshuk Nasiyusay. You guys have to. The Rebbe writes in the Sikha that after Yud Shvat and Tovshin Yud, there was a hemshuk of the Messias of the Friedrich Rebbe. Yeah, and he said, "Ubetoy hemshuk said, preaches kol gvulos." The Rebbe says the breaking of any gvulos, any limitations that might have been left on a fotzah samayonas, and the new continuation of the Messias blew them.
Speaking about himself.
And he said, therefore, there's been the inif and the fotzahs. The kol katzvei tevel. Yeah. these guys, I thought they were mishchitim, they're pretty sort of modest over here. But if you read the actual Sikha, it's mamish, the Rebbe writes that his activity has brought about the breaking down of all the limitations. Yeah, that's what he said. Oh, so therefore the Rebbe says, he chose as the Mok Kavua, many years of Kol HaPa'ulu is B'nir HaFotzes Mayonet, Shemimokim Zeh, Hanimtza B'chatzi Kadur HaTachtoin. This is the lower hemisphere. But we've pointed out on many occasions that there are two ways of counting the hemisphere. There's one way that you count horizontally, and you get what we call the equator. You got above the equator or below the equator. That's the upper hemisphere and that's the lower. But there's another way. You look at the vertical, like line that divides the whole world into two halves. And then you say that where Eretz Yisrael is, that's Chatzi Kadur Elim. Where America is and all, that's Chatzi Kadur Takto. That's the lower hemisphere. So it's well known that Matan Torah was only in the upper hemisphere. Couldn't have wasn't finished, by the way. It was only in the upper hemisphere. Matan Torah was in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael was the upper hemisphere.
Okay, but it was Chodo.
But through the Friedrich Rebbe coming to America, then Matan Torah began to occur also in the lower half.
It permeated the whole world. It says, no? that Matan Torah.
But Matan Torah, its actual happening was only on Har Sinai. Okay. People heard about it. It made a tremendous rush in the world of people. Well, they didn't know exactly what was going on.
Talking about the people or the
world? He was talking about the actual Nesina of the Torah itself. So what the Rebbe's point is that when through Beis Chayenu, there's a Hamshocha, Mamish of Matan Torah in the Chatzi Kadur Tato. So the Rebbe said he chose that Tavri, Sheloi Boi Loi Nitna HaTorah, Yoitzes u'Mishpashetes, Hafotzes HaTorah B'chol Ha'olam. Not just in the Chatzi Ha'elien, ועד כדי כך שמוחם זה משפיע אפילו על חצי כדור העליון. So the Rebbe said that he said that etiquette 770 becomes a משפיע אפילו in the upper hemisphere. First of all, there was no Matan Torah in the lower hemisphere. They said that the Friedrich Rebbe is coming to 770, not only made the Matan Torah, it begins to occur also in the lower hemisphere, but it also caused that there's a shpur from Beis Chayenu back to the upper hemisphere.
Wow.
It makes sense. You got all these amazing light here in the country that they were the shluchim of the Rebbe at the beginning. I remember when I first came to Tonkin in Toshin Kobeis, when I arrived in Eretz Yisrael, there was already 7 Bochrim that had just arrived a couple of months before. When I say a couple, they arrived before Pesach from the Rebbe, and they were called the 7 lights of the menorah. They were called, the Shiva Kanei Menorah. There were 7 of them, and they were shluchim of the Rebbe to Eretz Yisrael. And their whole inyan was to be mechazik Tomchei Tmim, and then later you get all these people like Rabbi Vilshansky and all the Hecht and what's his name in Eilat, and all these people that the Rebbe sent them in Toshin Lamed Zion, and look what they're doing to Eretz Yisrael. So Eretz Yisrael is being makabel from 770. So he said, Shaboy Nitna HaTorah, that in Eretz Yisrael was where the Torah was given. He said, V'chelik bilti nifra mi'pulas eilu. He said, an inseparable part and portion of these pa'ulas who are fotzes hatzedek v'hayoisha av b'kerev u'maso ilom. So he brings there a dogma that the Friedrich Rebbe also urged that people went to Morocco, I think it was, that they should also try to influence the Goyim, because the Goyim are able to hear, they're able to be told something, It's one on Morocco is a bit different than some of the other rabbis, and you can tell them certain things, and you should make sure you tell them about tzedek v'yosher and uprightness and the 7 mitzvahs. Even the Frierdiker Rebbe already began that. And then the Rebbe says that the Indian of the Sheva mitzvahs, B'nai Noah, in our time, he says, in the Shonim HaAchreinim, he doesn't say in my leadership, but he says the Shonim HaAchreinim has become a world issue. Now, that's what the Rebbe said. He said, therefore, there was an effort was made by Frierdiker Rebbe, the forces of tzedek v'yosher, af b'kerav umas ha'olam. In other words, like I said before, the Rebbe is not just the leader of some Siddim. The Rebbe is concerned with the whole human race. That's for sure that the Geula is going to affect also the Goyim. El A'amim Sofa Brura Likri Kulam B'Shem Hashem. There's a passage in Yeshaya also that when Mashiach will come, he's going to reverse all the peoples of the world to give them a clear literary that they should be able to call all in the name of Hashem, and they'll do it all together. Shechem Echad, they'll all be united together. Areisha Pu'ulas Afotzes Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. So the Rebbe said that is happening right now, that more and more of the Goyim are beginning to realize that they've got to get together and call in the name of Hashem. So the Rebbe said, one of the essential factors that will be in the Geula is already happening. And not only it's happening, but it's getting stronger and stronger the whole time. ובו לידי ביטוי אף בפריצס גבולויסיה של בריס המיועצת. So the Rebbe said there's another way of seeing this whole thing in the breaking down of the Iron Curtain. They call it the Gvulas of Brit HaMotzot. It means Russia. שבמשך שונים רבים הכריזה מלחמה על הפוצץ הטרור. He said they were against it. They even made war against people who tried to spread Yiddishkeit. Many of the great Siddim were Rahman Islam executed and shot and terrible. They declared war against the spreading of Yiddishkeit. He said, "B'tkufa achreina is batla gezeiras hamalchus." And in the latter tkufa, all that has become botel or misafsheres. Pu'ulas, afotzes ayadas, it's become possible inside Russia for there to be other of the spreading out with the agreement of the authorities of spreading out Yiddishkeit in Russia. She's kaima af koidem l'chein, b'makteret. The Rebbe said it's not the pshat that there's never been afotzes of mayonas in Russia. There's always been, but during the communist regime, it was underground. He said, hasakona shibadova. Despite the great sakona, the Rebbe mentions that it involved Mesiras Nefesh by many of the great Siddim. Nonetheless, the Rebbe said nowadays it's all even galui, it's declared policy and it's open. You go ahead spreading Yiddishkeit over there without any thing. Not only that, the government even has declared policy which supports it. So the Rebbe said in Cain, one of the other clear nevuos that's going to be, what's going to be at the time of the Geula is already happening. That the peoples of the world will change and they will also call in the name of Hashem. It's happening. So it says the Rebbe Umikol Mokim, he said, Pagisha zu shebo huklat al simsim klei neshek, ishkaima bi'iroi shel nosi doreinu. So the Rebbe said, this meeting that I've been describing about the symptom of the klei neshek has taken place Davki in the city of Nasi Doreno. So Nasi Doreno, everybody knows what that means. That's the Rebbe's way of saying
Wukling.
him.
Wukling.
Yeah, he says, ובזה מרומז שכל זה נעשה על ידי פעולויסו בהפוצת התורה והצדק. So the Rebbe said, from that we see clearly that all these things which are happening are results and are connected with the activities of Mashiach. So, and he said earlier that Mashiach is the Nasi Ador. So, I mean, who is this? How can you translate this in simple terms? So there was the Rebbe, Halei Mashiach Shebadoyer, but Nasi Hadoyer, who Halei HaMashiach Shebadoyer, ופעולה זו מהווה כאום הכפר את הסחולת קיום הייעוד וכיתתו חרבויסום לא איתם. שעל ידי משיח ובכלל מה שדווקא בעיר זו נקרא מוקים מוישובון, דווקא in the city where Beis Chayenu is, דווקא that's where it's been fixed in the the place of the sitting of all the representatives of all the Medina. הרי אתה מעמיד לכך ומאחר וזהו מקום של נשיא התורה. In other words, not that there happened to be an interesting coincidence that they happened to meet in New York. Beis Chayenu happens to be in New York. He said, a pig forget. The whole reason why they're meeting in New York and the whole reason why the Nasi had to come is because Beis Chayenu was in that city.
Worldwide.
Sorry.
The chair heard the miser.
Worldwide Webby.
Now you should realize
It's Worldwide Webby.
we're running a little bit out of time. I'm running out of quote, but I'm going to tell you the sort of the next temperature here in the whole thing. The next temperature is the Rebbe said, and he talks about why did it happen on Erev Shabbos. He said Erev Shabbos also is indicative of the beginning of the Yura. Erev Shabbos is already before Shabbos, and Shabbos is Menucha L'chai Yomim, and that's already the information. Erev Shabbos, and the Rebbe says that Erev Shabbos happens to be Kof Vov Bishmahat. And he said Kof Vov is the gematria of the Shem Havaya, and who made the whole world? The Shem Havaya. So the Rebbe says like this. He says that what's got to do with the Pashas Shavua? Ela HaMishpatim. What are Mishpatim? Things that make sense. He says even though you're not allowed to go to a Bezdin of Goyim, you must only go to Yidden. But Rashi says that even in a case where you know that the Goyim are going to judge like the Yidden, so the Rebbe said, how can that be? Because many of these laws are very acceptable in Seichel.
Rashi.
Yeah. Rashi brings it. It could be that they might judge in a certain way, like the Yidden. Nonetheless, you shouldn't go. Yeah. So the Rebbe said, how come that in the human Seichel these things need to tend to make sense, even by an issue that seems to him also to make sense. The Rebbe said because it was given at Sinai, and that's what Rashi said. Yeah. Ma what's the lesson? Ma Rishonim b'Sinai, af eila b'Sinai. Rishonim means Yaseros Adibras. Also, these laws are also Sinai. So the Rebbe said an amazing point. He makes absolutely pilly plus. The Rebbe said, why is it that your seichel makes it very acceptable that there should be laws and should be certain things? Because these were given by Hashem. It all came from Him. And since it came from Him, that's why it appears to you in your seichel, this is a good way to act.
Even to God.
But, he said, just it appearing in your seichel, if it doesn't come from Hashem, wouldn't necessarily mean anything lapoil. they wouldn't actually get down and do something. But since globally it was given vicinity, that's why it seems to you a very obvious thing that it's the way it should be. And the Rebbe brings a very interesting Dulmelakach that he said, for example, we take this new development, they want to get rid of it. That's a thing which the ordinary Seder will also tell you. Why should you make squabble and war between the nations? Make peace. So the Rebbe said people knew this for thousands, hundreds and thousands of years, and he said nonetheless war has been one of the biggest destructive influences in the whole of human life throughout history. He says it's a sign that you can maybe come up against a certain svara, but you don't really see how it's poem. How do you come up against a certain svara and you really see you've got to do something only if you're convinced by somebody that that's really a divine thing. And he brings the raya, pili plus, you see the Rebbe says that in Hilchus Malachim, the Rambam talks about the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noah. And he says, when Yidden are mechuyev to tell the Goyim about the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noah, they have to tell them that these were given to Moshe Rabbeinu at Sinai. You're not allowed just to tell them that this is a good and Dova Yachar. So the Rebbe says more than that. The Rambam says both at the beginning of the period and the end of the period that if you accept these laws, only mitzad the hechra hadas, then you're not right. You're missing the whole point. These things were not given because they hechra hadas, because they were part of the divine revelation at Sinai. Oh. And therefore he said, if you tell them that way, then they're going to get down to business and they'll do something about it. If you leave it to say, they say, oh yes, that was one thing, but what we want to do is another thing. When does the seichel become a seichel shel ma'aser? When they know that it comes from Sinai. Pili plus, kodesh kadoshim, just pili plus. But the Rebbe said, that's why you have to tell a goy that not he has to keep the Sheva Mitzvahs because it's nice things to do. That's a good way to run society. That's a good way to guard the world and everything. אתה שומע ישי? צריך להגיד לגוי שזה מוישה רבנו שמע את זה מפי השם. And that sinks into his mind and he's feeling a little bit, then he'll do it. So the Rebbe says the same thing. Why did these guys meet in New York? Because Beis Chayenu is in New York. He said that's pink to say that the Sheva Mitzvahs, they have to hear it's from Hashem, and then it will make some sense to them. And then they realize they're going to do something. He said, why is it they're all of a sudden getting down to Pearl Mamish? Because 770 is in that same area. And 770 is affecting their power of decision. The guys just jump out on stalks. This is pretty close.
They know the river.
I mean, this is just unbelievable. What does it mean? And so, we'll maybe say if it was, what do we do with the Volomonsky? I don't know if anybody knew Yifrot in the yeshiva, but he was here last week. He sat down there.
Who was that?
There's a young man from Russia. He's a comment of mine, Yifrot Abram. He made those observations today in Moran. I went over to take part of the observation. And he gave this bottle of Mashke, and not the one we used, but he said I bought two bottles. He said I bought one to use for the actual sharing, and one I want to give to the shir.
He's in the yeshiva now. He's in the yeshiva now.
He gave me the bottle of Mashke. He gave me to bring to him. And this, he says, a genuine Russian mafia from Petersburg.
How about plastic on the table?
Zarskaya.
It's Tsaris. Tsarskaya is from the Tsar.
Open the bottle.
Tsaris vodka. Tsaris vodka.
Well, if you-
Oh, the real.
If you drink it, you'll have tsaris.
Tsaris.
We'll give you tsaris.
A few years
Just
ago,
open the
somebody
bottle
would
and
use
give
a
it.
bottle like that, they would have come to sit there.
Goldberg.
What?
I got enough tsaris. Just give me some vodka.
Take it, But listen, okay. I mean, not that I'm good. 24 years later, Matzah is not, I mean, no, I understand that, but now, 24 years later, cook up the matzah, look at the matzah, the situation in the world.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
No, I mean,
We love war.
all these nice things and
Gonna share a
resolutions
cup?
about peace are we're still waiting, still coming. Nicht, as a Gleich nicht, verstehst? Why is it taking so long? This was 24 years late, 24 years ago.
I want to talk about that.
It's their shame. It's very nice.
What am I saying?
This is heresy.
Well, it's real. The Rebbe also speaks ad masa. The Rebbe also is wondering why, with all the fine,
Go and tell ISIS and Aksharon, tell them about
with all the refinement of this world that the Rebbe does, that he still didn't come.
What happens if this goes on another 24 years?
Asfachalil.
What happens?
It's
The new-
emunah.
No,
the new
it's just
gen-
a collective.
You can't. There are too many simanim. There's too many signs that it's right here that you
Okay,
can even
with
think.
that episode, we
You
have
can't say that
Right.
when all the prophecies are saying, "Look, here you go. Open your eyes. Just open your eyes." That's what's left to do. It's right on top of us, and it's a, you open your eyes, and boom, here it is. I mean, that's all there is to it.
So what's it going to be? Utica Avenue or President Street?
Looking.
Utica Avenue.